Jennifer Steiner. I'm a board certified clinical health psychologist. And what that really means is that I specialize in working with people who have chronic medical problems, chronic pain, chronic illness, things like that. I run a private practice that's 100% telehealth based, which is really great when you're working with people who aren't always feeling their best physically because they don't have to worry about traffic and, sitting in a waiting room and all of that. So they can just log on to their screen and see me. And it's completely focused on helping people who have chronic pain and chronic illness and all of the ways that that can impact somebody's mental health and quality of life and emotions and all of that. So I think I was a member before I became kind of actively involved in GPA. I was just kind of hanging out. I will say the greatest benefits have come since I've been a private practice owner. Because I feel like GPA is just such a wonderful way to share information about all of the things that might be going on in the state and in the community that would affect you as a private practice owner, from changes in the laws and what's going on kind of with the legislature system, but also just random things like community events and referral sources. And I feel like it's completely invaluable as somebody in the private sector. I wouldn't know half of what I know if it weren't for GPA and the newsletters and the listserv and the communications that happen there. What I remember is Jennifer Smith actually coming and talking to me when I was a postdoc at the Atlanta VA, which would have been about 10 years ago. And I remember her just talking about what an incredible organization GPA was and what it did for psychologists in the community and how important it is to be involved in your state association. And she kind of, gave me the sales pitch and really convinced me I needed to become a member. So I became a member and continued just being a member for a couple of years until Jennifer Smith then came back to me and said, "Hey, I think you'd be really great on the CE committee." So I said, "Sure, I'll join the CE committee." And I think I had been doing that for less than a year. I can't remember exactly how long, but less than a year when some members of leadership came to me and said, "We need somebody to be the co-chair of this committee. Like we need somebody to do this and we would like it to be you." And so I was fortunate enough to be co-chair of the CE committee for several years. And during that time, really got to know how the board works, got to know how the CE side of things works. I was involved in kind of helping codify the rules and the way that that committee functions and how we establish which workshops meet criteria for CE and things like that. And that was great. And then took a year off from I was still a member, but I wasn't as actively involved in the board. And then got randomly approached and asked if I might consider serving in the president's role at some point. And here we are. And I'm president-elect right now. Some of my big areas that I would like to emphasize have to do with continuing to really figure out how we can advocate for ourselves as psychologists. And not just advocate for ourselves, but how we can really make it clear how psychologists are different from some of the other mental health disciplines. One of the things I'm personally concerned about is scope creep. And, there's a lot of other mental health disciplines that want to do what we do, that are trying to do what we do as psychologists. And while I think it's great that there's more resources for people who need access to mental health, I also want to be thoughtful about protecting what it is that we do as psychologists.